scamming is moving at a pace that far exceeds the pace that government regulation and law enforcement can kind of keep up with. So, are there any way that our governments or any way that we could lobby for them to kind of bypass these legacy type of security tools and maybe get some things that are a little bit more modernized to kind of help us?
So I think it's hard. It also reflects the incentives in the market. Currently, while it's a PR issue for a lot of companies, we just saw a report recently about Meta making money from scams, basically people who are using scam ads to scam Meta customers.
Yes.
And in a lot of those cases, companies are not liable for what happened. If you fall victim to a scam, in many cases, the bank doesn't have to give you back the money. And that's some of the things that we can change the regulation in the US. It's different in the UK, by the way. So
Mm.
in the UK, if you wire someone money and it was a scam, you fell for the scam, your bank is liable for 50% of the scam, so they need to reimburse you. And the receiving bank, if it's located in the UK, is also responsible for 50% of the scam. So just by changing the incentives to the organizations that are handling those type of communication, whether it's telcos, whether it's banks, whether it's social media companies, we can encourage them to protect their customers better. But until that happens, one of the things that we think that people should be doing is being careful, educating themselves about those type of scams, and also using third-party tools. So you use antivirus on your device to protect yourself from viruses. Why not use a tool that can help you protect yourself from scams?
Absolutely. Um, so when you think of major companies, like I work for a pretty large national company that is in pretty much every state in the United States, we have a lot of security checkpoints. Our security is constantly being updated. We constantly have to change our passwords here at work. So I think that people who work for large companies or even leadership in large companies may be kind of lulled into a sense of kind of false security with these security measures. How is it that top brands such as Walmart and Meta, I just saw I can't think of what company it was. Somebody was scamming them. They were paying bills that weren't real. Um, how is it that these companies can avoid being, you know, taken for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars by these fraudsters?
Hard. It's an endless race, I have to say. Companies are inventing new mechanisms and finding new ways to protect themselves and their customers. And the scammers they're not stupid. They're smart. It's networks of operators running those scam networks, and they invent new ways. So you always have to be one step before the. Otherwise, you're going to lose a lot of money and you're going to have a lot of unsatisfied customers. And the issue with the security systems, you can have the best cyber protection, you can have, and the best CISO, chief information security, or the best practices. But at the end, the entire chain is relying on the weakest link. And the weakest link is one of your employees or one of your customers clicking a link or sharing information, getting an OTP code, the multi-factor authentication code, and passing it, sharing it to someone they think they should be sharing it to. They think they're sharing it maybe with their father or mother, or maybe with their grandma or one of their kids, but it's actually a scammer on the other side using a voice changer or an AI voice changer. So as long as we're not educating people about how to deal with those scams, as long as we're not giving the end user ways to protect themselves against scams, you can have the best cybersecurity in the world, but the human factor would be what preventing you from getting the best security.
Absolutely. What can companies do to protect their customers from being a headline? I know whenever there's a hack or some company has to come up and say, "Oh, your data was breached." It's a big embarrassment for the company. It makes customers and people that are affiliated with that company who've done business with them in the past or are currently doing business with them very nervous about what data was breached and what do people know about me and what can people have access to. What could these companies do in order to protect themselves from becoming the next headline that is included in a data breach?
Yeah, so data breaches are, an entire different world. You know, those are professional hackers getting access to the company data. I think that the best thing that they can do, even though it's a big PR issue, is letting their customers know as soon as possible. It's pretty known in this world that, dealing with the problem in the first 24 hours is the best resolution. And sometimes even if you wait just 72 hours, 72 hours is just a weekend, and your data could be lost, your information could be lost forever. So dealing with it as soon as possible, that's one thing that I would recommend them to do. And secondly, is helping their customers to protect themselves. So a lot of those times, those breaches happen because someone was clicking the wrong link, or some of their employees. So making sure that their employees and their customers are protected from scams is definitely one thing that they can do, and to make sure the entire system is protected.
In terms of trust, right? I've covered these scam stories time and time again, it makes me less trusting of when my phone rings, less trusting of when I get an email. I've become like the delete queen of everything. I just, if I need to know about it, give me a heads up, right? That's kind of where I am with everything. How can people, is there any place that people can go to learn more about this, or to understand the scope of these scams so that they can understand? I think a lot of people think it won't be me, right? I don't have money, I don't have, but you have data and your data is valuable. Is there any place where people can go to kind of brush up on these things, or learn more, outside of conversations that I have with people like you, where they could just kind of educate themselves on how to be protected?
Yeah. So I think it's a great timing because just yesterday, the Global Anti-Scam Alliance conducted a conference in Arlington, right next to DC, about those type of things. And some of the biggest companies in the world were there, and Meta, Google. We were there. Well, we're much smaller, um, but those are the places that you need to follow and to be up to date. So, go to GASA, to GASA, and learn, read some of their materials. They keep updating about the new type of scams and the things and the tool that you can use to protect yourself. I think that's a great resource. Also for seniors, the AARP are providing a lot of resources on how to deal with those type of scams, how to resolve them, and they offer hotline that you can call and resolve those situations. So there are few organizations that are providing information, data, and ways to resolve it. And of course, tech tools are also a great way to protect yourself. So